Okay, so this week we are back taking a look at my 12-week plan. I am in week number 4 this week. The 12-week year is a book by Brian Moran. It provides kind of a systematic approach to taking your big overall life vision, breaking it down into 12-week years. And so rather than thinking of a year as a 12 months, you're thinking about it in 12 weeks. So creating goals for that period becomes more intentional, an easier area of focus, and other things like that. So I'm now in week number 4, and I'm just doing the review here for that particular week. So in my kind of visioning time this week, or just the time that I sit down and I rewrite or reiterate some of the things that I'm trying to make sure I'm being conscious of throughout the week. This week I really took all those terms that I just plotted around in various areas and separated them out kind of into where my long-term vision is, how that flows into my 12-week plan, and then like the daily choice of activities that I'm doing, and how I'm using my time. So again, it's nothing that's really changed over this week. It's just taking that time each week to write it out is a reminder for myself of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And so that's what this week's look like. Moving into week number 4 and taking a look at my tracking piece. Some things of note: my reading, I'm now finished with Uncommon Accountability, so I'm going to be moving on to another book. I might actually do an audiobook and just incorporate that into going to work every day. And then my expense piece, I did miss 2 days of doing the electronic tracking on my Google Sheet, but I caught that back up on Thursday. It was all okay. This week there's a lot less tracking than there was the first week because I don't have bills that are going out. My food spending's down, all of that kind of stuff. So there wasn't a lot that I was behind on. I think it's okay to skip a couple days and then catch back up. I think where I might be concerned if I skipped an entire week or 2 weeks or a month, right? I think then that would be a problem. But overall things are going to plan. Again, went with the no spend for there, and the food prep. So this week I'm actually going to show you a little bit more in depth into my food prep, and I'm going to show you a couple recipes. Actually, they're not really recipes. They're just things I throw together from what I have in the pantry, or I go out and I buy a few things, and how I incorporate that into my food prep. So a big thing that came up for me this week has been in my food prep and kind of getting to the point where I'm either doing the same thing over and over again and getting a little bored of it, or needing to think a little bit differently about the food that I have on hand without going out and spending a ton of money. So this week I went back into using a soup recipe, and I did use a convenience item in this recipe. I did use a package of Campbell's Lipton noodle soup, the dry soup package. But what I did with this was I went out and purchased a small bunch of carrots, some celery, some onion, some garlic. Anything else that I got? No, not really. Oh, and some baby potatoes that I already had on hand. In total, I spent $4, and this $4, I've used it across 4 different soups this week, or over the past, I guess, 10 days, because I did do one last week as well. So my soup recipe, I just add carrot, celery, onion, cook that down, cook it in with some of the baby potatoes, add in that soup mix and some water and let it kind of cook together. It just kind of elevates that Lipton noodle soup a little bit without needing to worry about any kind of meat products or anything like that. And you know what? It lasts for several days, and my family was good with it. I just kind of made turkey sandwiches for them to go along with it, and that was all great. Another soup that my daughter particularly likes is when I do something with ramen noodles. So she definitely loves ramen, but she likes if we can, definitely going out and buying a pho is better than eating ramen. So I figured out a way at home with cooking up some onion and garlic. Again, some carrots that this time because I had those on hand. And then I threw in some kale as well into this. And let those cook together. Added in that ramen soup, as well as, sorry, the sauce in there this time had been a little bit of chili. I can't, like sweet chili, I guess it was, and a little bit of teriyaki added in there. Added in that ramen noodle, let it cook together. I then added in an egg so that could add some protein in there. Topped it up with green onion and some cilantro. And then she definitely adds in some more heat after that. But it just, taking a simple package of ramen, adding in a few other ingredients, and you get a nice warm, I think a pretty tasty soup, just adding in some different flavorings in there. So that's another thing that we did. Now this third thing that we did was I did create something called Ghormeh Sabzi. I apologize, I'm going to butcher the name, but it's an Iranian dish and is typically made with meat, either lamb or stewing beef. But I did just make this into a vegetarian version. Now, the real Ghormeh Sabzi is cooked low and slow for a long period of time, and all the grains are kind of fried. I don't use I hardly use any oil or anything anymore, so mine definitely doesn't turn out the way that a traditional one does. But if you have the opportunity to taste this, I'm telling you, it is absolutely delicious. So basically what it is you just take a ton of herbs. In my case, I took a huge package of spinach. I took a bunch of cilantro and a bunch of parsley. If you're one of those people that hate cilantro, you can add something else into it. Sometimes people put in dill or any other things. I then also added in some dried fenugreek afterwards. The real hit to this dish is actually in the lime. Traditionally they use dried lime, and so I still had a couple left, so I was able to use those. But you can also just use fresh lime juice, and it does wonders to it. Anyways, the smell of this when you're cooking it is absolutely amazing. It doesn't sound good when you talk about, putting all these things together, but it's absolutely delicious. So then I just added in some canned kidney beans into that. Using dried kidney beans, again, would be more traditional and probably taste better. But letting this cook for a little while with that, then adding it over some rice or using some bread to eat that with, it's really good. So there's a lot of great recipes out there for this. I'll put one in the description that doesn't use meat, but again, it's a different way to use beans, and I kind of get tired of, just beans and rice or chili or something like this. So my daughter's father is Iranian, so I did learn to cook a lot of Iranian food, and over the past couple of years I've learned to kind of transition those into things that are a little bit simpler, don't take as much time, as well as don't utilize the meat. So I do still cook meat probably once or maybe even twice a week, but in this case, between the spinach and the different herbs, I spent $4.50 on all of that, and then I had a can of kidney beans. And that food is going to last me for a few days. It's something that I can freeze and bring back out. So if you're really just tight on money and you're getting sick and tired of beans and rice or kind of some of the things that David Ramsay might suggest, there's definitely ways that you can use very simple ingredients, even some convenience items like soup mix or ramen noodles, and bump them up a bit to something that's has some nutritional value to it, as well as simple, cheap, and easy. So I hope that helps out, and I look forward to connecting with you in the next one. Bye, guys.